For the last time then this season, welcome back to our Rovers Walk, episode 39. Yes, 39 bloody weeks we've been talking about Blackburn Rovers, and we've got 20 more minutes to go. Thank you very much for joining us. We're talking, of course, about the Sheffield United game. So close, but yet so far. Lots of criticisms for Dennis. Some people are saying he's not even a footballer. We'll get Tom, Mark's and Jason's view on that. We'll talk about how the changes for 2025 have affected Rovers, these early kickoffs. What do we think of that? And we'll ask these guys to sum up the season in 3 words or short phrases. Thank you for being back with us. Tom, we kind of knew it was probably going to go this way, but when you did go 1-0 up just for that brief period of time, did you think it was going to happen?
I mean, and honestly, yes, I did. I really did. I thought it was all meant to be. It all fell into place. All the stars aligned, and I thought this is it, because no one really gave us a chance 4 or 5 weeks ago. And we sat on this podcast and we kind of wrote ourselves off that, you know, we were going to end up mid-table mediocrity, but then out of nowhere, we put this run together, and we were saying at the weekend, the boys and I were chatting, saying if we can just get to half time and we're still in it still. And all the other results were kind of going in our favour, and it was almost like, oh, here we go. And when Ashley scored, oh my days, it was absolute madness. And then it just, you know, it just wasn't meant to be. I think now the dust has settled a little bit. I think if we were to have snuck in the playoffs and gone up, it could have been a bit embarrassing next season going into the Premier League, but it would have been a hell of a journey. But I think all things considered, despite the results of the weekend, we did ourselves, you know, huge credit. And I think any Rovers fan that tries to find the negatives in this season towards the end needs their head looking at, because I think we've done themselves proud. And I was really proud to be a Rovers fan at the weekend.
Yeah, well, come on. I mean, Burnley were doing their bit, weren't they? Even Preston were doing their bit for you as well. I think it was 8 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Jason, you were there. And then the equaliser came to change it all. I mean, overall, is it a fair result that you're not in these playoffs, given the season as a whole?
Yeah, I would say, and I think Bristol City deserves to be in there. They've been very consistent for long periods of the season, so I think it'd have been harsh for us to get in there on goal difference over them, which one more goal would have done us that. So yeah, I think on reflection, I still think finishing 8th, we're probably 4 or 5 places above where we should have been. I think we all predicted mid-table, lower mid, you know, top of the bottom half of the table. We all said sort of around that 12th to 15th at the beginning of the season. So I said if we get top 10, it's an achievement this season, and that's what we've done. I think, well, as Tom said, no one can put a negative spin on this season. They may do it in the last day or so, but as the dust settles, you've got to look at it on the whole. It's a long season. We've had countless injuries, key players out for long periods during the season. We've had Danny Bart, Matt Targay, Owashi, all come in first season at the club, absolutely out of this world, and we come to ask for more out of them. I think big summer coming up.
Yeah,
I think that's, you know.
Yeah, let's have a look at some of the comments coming out from the game then, Mark. Yeah, imagine if we played Toth all season. That's more than we deserve for playing pairs for so long, was one view. Bano says it is what it is. It was out of our hands to begin with. And Mr. Nova says it was good effort. I feel proud, but Dennis is not a footballer. Come back to that point in a minute. Crisis says half a dozen of these players need shifting on, but Emmanuel Dennis tops the list. Might as well have played a traffic cone. Yeah, interesting. Jason saying there shouldn't be any negativity. There was quite a lot connected
there's
to Dennis.
There's got to be honesty, though.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's got to be honesty.
Oh, yeah. Come on. Have you got a point, Mark?
Well, I think on reflection now after Saturday, I think first and foremost, the credit goes to the players, not the football club, the players this season, because regardless of the opinions that we've had on players, whether they've been in form or out of form, played well, not played very well. That group has stuck together. So to finish where we did was beyond what any of us could have imagined. So I think criticising individual players when the season's over now, Pers, Dennis, to be fair, I don't think we've seen an awful lot of him, either through suspension or injury. I think it's harsh to criticise. I think people obviously, they look for somebody to blame. For me, if anyone is to blame and pointing fingers, it's the board. I think we were in an excellent position this season to see that job through and get in the playoffs. But as I said, the players have stuck together. They've been fantastic. I actually also think, and this is no disrespect to Ismail, because he's performed, he's got his team performing really well in the last half a dozen games or so. If John Eustace had stayed, we'd have been top 6 easily. Absolutely easily. So I think, again, the key failings were January, as it has been for the last 3 or 4 years under Mowbray, under Thomason. Eustace obviously walked out. Look what he achieved at Derby in such a short space of time. So I think any individual criticism towards any of the players is very, very unfair. I think that group have stuck together through thick and thin. So for me, there's no criticism of the playing squad at all.
Yeah. We need to look at the limbs from that Blackburn end as that goal went in, because it's some of the best that we've seen. Let me just bring it up. Hopefully this works. There we are. I've got it queued. Not a mobile phone in sight, I think, either. We'll see there. Yeah. Oh, it's a shame, was it? You're playing the team that really didn't have much to play for. But Ian says that pitch looked huge and they beat us to every header. Looked like they had an extra player at times. Not much fell for us. We looked leggy, Tom, in the heat. No wonder it's been a tough season for those lads. Yeah, I mean, do you think if the season had gone on for another 2 or 3 games, you might have just got over the line, do you think? Or you look back at certain results?
I mean, yeah.
If only we'd have beat Middlesbrough, if only we'd have beaten Sheffield Wednesday when we came back.
A bit of both, because you can look ahead. We were one of the form teams, if not the form team in the division at the moment, but we've made some silly mistakes. I mean, those first couple of games under Ishmael, when we lost games we should have been winning, we shouldn't be losing to teams like Hull and obviously Cardiff City and Plymouth and Portsmouth. Yeah. We just got done over, and eventually those mistakes are costly. And you can look back at the goal against Burnley, which should have been given, and we should have won that game. I mean, we've discussed this as a 3 before multiple times about refereeing in the EFL, and it's sometimes you make your own luck guessing games, but sometimes you need the officials to be consistent. And when there's so many mistakes that are getting made that are very costly, and these mistakes eventually can send a team up or send a team down. Or in Rovers' case, we've been let down a few times by the officials. Albeit, it is our own undoing in parts, but I think generally speaking, we finished the season probably where we deserved. I actually went back this afternoon and watched episode 1 of our first time meeting together. And Jason, I want to quote you here. You said, anything above 12th would be a bonus. Those are your words.
Have you wrote that down? You've just looked down. That.
Mark said 16th we'd come. And I said about mid-table. Harry said 13th. So I think if you would ask us in August, you'll be there or thereabouts, kind of last game of the season, going into the last day with a chance of making the playoffs, we'd have all snapped your hand off. So I think all things considered, as every season goes with Rovers, it's never a dull moment. And hopefully next year we can go again.
Yeah. It's been entertaining, put it that way, even as a neutral, to share these ups and downs with you. Before we do head off for the summer, we want to say a massive thank you, of course, to you. Obviously, we make this content in the hope to grow into a top Blackburn podcast to rival some of the great ones that are already out there. So thank you, everyone who's shared, who's liked, who's subscribed, who's commented over the last 39 weeks. We all need to lie down, and I'm sure if you're a Rovers fan after the season, you all need one. So we'll give our team a 2.5 months off. Do put your notifications on, because we'll be back in the end last week in July as we look ahead to a full season under Ishmael, we hope. Before we head there, though, I know it's a cruel question to ask, Jason, but the playoffs carry on regardless without you in it. Who'd you like to join Leeds and Burnley in the Premier League?
Bristol City. I know everyone likes a story like that. I think they've. A few seasons now they've been in and around them playoffs, Bristol City, and they've not quite got there. And I think you've four teams in them playoffs who were actually out of form. You look at the form table, there's none of them in form. It could literally go one of four ways.
You would have been the form team had you been in there.
I did say that the other week. If we could sneak in there, I'd put as favourites based on form. But I'd like to see Bristol City, someone different. I don't like Frank Lampard, although Coventry will probably go
up. We saw Luton drop, Mark, on the other way. To replace them, we're going to get Charlton, Leyton Orient, Stockport, or Wickham back in the division. Which of those do you fancy as a nice away day?
I think Stockport would be really good. I went there. I went there earlier this season.
Them in the cup, didn't you?
Yeah. It was our. It was Smodic's last game for us because he scored. I think he scored 2 that night. We won. Was it 6-1? It was a brilliant night. So it's not a bad little ground. It's only again it's not far away. So I think Stockport would be really good. Charlton. We've had a lot of good battles with Charlton over the years. I remember, especially 15, 20 years ago. So I wouldn't mind Charlton back either, to be honest. But I think Stockport would be really good.
Stockport's story is a good story as well, isn't it? I mean, I saw a timeline of what they've been through over recent years, and it's no team deserve it more than them. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have been right down to the bottom of the pyramid, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
In fairness, right then, Tom, can you? Before we ask you to summarise, I need to ask you about these early kickoffs. But one of the big changes we've had this season, Tom, has been the introduction of the 12:30 kickoff and all these 3 games on Sky. I just want to get your opinion as a fan. Has that affected attendances, atmospheres at Ewood when you've been there? And do you think it's something that we should make a bigger deal of? I know you get 8.5 million, is it, for having this, for allowing the cameras in, but what's your take on whether it's ruining football a bit?
I mean, I've got no issue with the half-12 kickoffs if they give you enough warning about it. It's when Sky decide to change the games on a whim. That's when I've got an issue with it, because I mean, from where I live, it's not always easy to get to Ewood, so I have to plan quite a bit in advance. And it's happened more than one occasion when I've had to cancel plans because they've moved the fixtures and it doesn't fall with my family or my travel arrangements. And it's really frustrating. And again, the attendances do suffer, the atmosphere can suffer, but it's just about money, and Sky is just this powerhouse, and whatever Sky say, unfortunately, seems to go. And you see across all divisions, especially the Premier League, there's games at all sorts of silly hours, and there's too much football going on. Sometimes just have a good old-fashioned 3 o'clock kickoffs, but generally speaking, a half-12 game doesn't bother me too much from watching it at home. But if I'm trying to go to a game and it gets moved, it is really frustrating. I mean, the boys Mark and Jason go to all the home games, so it might affect them a bit more because I'm at home a lot more watching the games. But I can see the frustration massively behind that.
Can I also get your opinion, Jason, on the Sunday fixture? We had this debate with the Leeds fan yesterday that I think your Sunday. I think you played Preston away, didn't you, on the Sunday when Osmajevic did the bite, if I'm not mistaken. When you're up against a Premier League game, I don't know what it was at that time. Do you think we should ignore Sunday games? But the Championship needs its own sort of time slot? Because no disrespect to whatever the championship fixture is, I don't think many people are going to tune to watch Preston Blackburn versus a United versus Wolves, are they?
No, and I think that's it. I think my issue is the way they go about moving the fixtures. I don't know why there can't be a plan for the season before the season begins, or do it where they only change them halfway through the season to do the second half of the season, before the season do the first half. Something like changing them on a whim, stuff like. And like I said, what's the point putting any championship game, unless it's your big clubs like Leeds or Sunderland, you have a massive following. What's the point putting them against the Premier League game on telly? It defeats the object of putting it on telly to get viewers, because you're not. For me, I think the better way to do it would have your half-12s on the Saturdays and your Sunday games for your Premier League. Have a championship game on a Friday night, championship game 8 o'clock on a Monday. I think it'd work better for viewers for the championship games to do it that way myself. But I've no issue with half-12 games and Sunday games, but pretty much what Tom said, gives you enough warning. I don't know why they can't do first half of the season, have them all in a line. They seem to do it every month. It's every month they pick a collection of games they want to put on it, and it's just not for me. I've no issue with it, but give me enough warning as a fan. That'd be my feedback.
Right. Let's sum up this season then in 3 words, if we can. 3 words or 3 short phrases. Mark, kick this off for us if you can.
A roller coaster journey.
Brilliant. Tom?
Hope, inconsistency, dreamer.
There we go. Jason?
Not one, by the way.
Yeah.
Massive overachieving squad would be mine.
What was that?
Yeah. Massive overachieving squad would be mine.
Fair enough. Right. Well, we have to end on, and once again, just massive thank yous to all of you for dedicating your time to talking about Blackburn. Thank you, of course, to Harry, who's off on bank holiday travels as well, for all your input. Hopefully, you all have a decent summer of rest from talking and watching Blackburn Rovers. We'll see you freshened up, ready to go for the brand new season, brand new teams, and we'll talk more about hopefully a playoff campaign again this time next season. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great summer. See you in 2.5 months.